Well, states are thinking of more ways to get child support payments from parents because last year, 66% of child support payments had to be taken out of employees' paychecks. About 1 in 5 children depend on that money, and those who don't pay normally face penalties or even jail time. But now, one state is doing something else to leverage payments. Utah says that it is seeing a surge in child support payments over the past year, all due to a new law. It withholds hunting and fishing licenses to those who fall behind in payments. And joining us now is Zed Jalani. He is a part of a team here at NewsNation who reports on solutions to America's biggest problems. Zed, great to see you. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, I think this is a policy innovation that the people of Utah, specifically the Office of Recovery Services and the folks in the legislature sought because they didn't want to be putting people in jail over child support because then the non-custodial parents can't pay for that child support to begin with. They didn't want to stigmatize people, but they did want to give them a creative incentive for actually paying their child support. And I think that's where this incentive was created, and it's shown from the data we have to be quite successful, actually.
Yeah, tell me about that success. What does that look like?
In terms of the amount of child support paid, I think they blocked something like 3,000 hunting and fishing licenses for people in the first year. After the duration of that first year, we actually saw around 500 of those people come into compliance, meaning they started paying their child support at sort of regular rates. And I think they collected around almost $2 million extra dollars from that same group of people in the first year this law was implemented. Now, of course, there could have been other things going on with the economy, with what was happening in Utah. We can't chalk it all up to this law, but the fact that you had such an increase in payments from that same exact group of people where the licenses were blocked suggests that the law actually worked quite well in terms of encouraging people to pay up that overdue child support.
Yeah, absolutely. Should more states adopt bills like this one?
And, you know, I think something that should be emphasized here is that this isn't actually the first state that has done this. There have been a few other states here and there that have implemented similar policies. Pennsylvania is one where I think they actually, their law is a little bit different in that it's based on a number of months being behind, whereas in Utah, I think it's like $2,500 in terms of being behind. But I think something that the folks in Utah emphasized to me is that these sort of creative levers for that you can use as incentives exist all over the United States. You know, every state, I think, has some sort of pastime that could be used to encourage people to come into compliance with these laws. With Utah, it was hunting and fishing. With other states, it may be other things.
Yeah, absolutely. The question is, are penalties like fines and jail time, though, still helpful in securing child support payments? Is there a future in Utah where this and this alone could actually give them the response they need?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really important question. Out of that the group of 3,000 people where they initially blocked people based on the licenses, it was about 500 that came into compliance that first year. That suggests, of course, that this law alone is probably not the way to get to that 100% number that everyone wants to get to. But it does also suggest that they've created sort of a form of leverage that doesn't necessarily penalize a parent in a way that would prevent them from paying the child support, right? In many circumstances across the United States, you do have people who've gone to jail, who've had their driver's license revoked. I mean, that's taking away an ability for them to make an income, right? To actually support the children. So I think that's why the folks in Utah went this route. I don't think it's a 100% solution to the problem. I don't think any solution can get you to 100% on this alone. But it is, I think, a worthwhile contribution to the debate about how we handle this issue of child support.
Zed Jalani, certainly appreciate your reporting on this. Thank you. And I want to make sure that people know that you can find out more about this solution story on our website, newsnationnow.com. You can find the story there, also on our app.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.